So if it takes 15-20 minutes, let's say at worst case scenario it takes a half hour to cut one, and you're going to pay $70-80 for one. If you can do 12 in a day, that's pretty good wages, because to go buy those you have to work several days to do that. So homesteading for us is about, well, it's about being independent, but it's also about finding creative ways not to spend money, because we don't have any money to spend. So things like this, you know, yeah, it takes time, but we have time. So I don't see the downside. So the next step is called edging, and that's where we've got 2 flat sides here, but we need 4 flat sides. You can use the Alaskan mill to edge with. However, you can see you're going to have to flip this thing up on end, you're going to have to support it, and you're going to have to figure out some way to get a 90-degree flat spot to mill it on. It's not ideal. So I would really recommend going with an edging attachment. That makes things very much simpler. And I'll do that here next. Got some beetle in here, huh? Yeah. All right, before we edge, we need to determine, we need to get a flat line. And no one's invented anything better than the string line for that. Put that there. And so I'll come along here, and I'll get as much as I can. And I'm trying to, this bark here is called wane. I'm trying not to get any of that. If I'm really tight on a piece, let's say the difference between getting 2 6x6s versus 1 out of here, if I skimp a little bit and I've got a little bit of wane on one corner, that's alright, because we can turn that underneath. The one thing that the old-time carpenter is really good at was hiding mistakes. And I wouldn't say this is a mistake, but it just wouldn't make sense to go all this trouble. If you can get 2 out and have a little wane on one corner, so be it. But we'll pull that there, and then we'll just snap a line. And that's going to be our guide for cutting. This is a 2x6. It has a little V-track on it that acts as a guide for the mini mill for the next attachment. And these mini mills you can buy, I think they're right around $100, maybe just a little bit less. But I would recommend that you would have both of these. And if you can have 2 saws, it's really nice. I have my little 260, which is enough for edging, that I keep in this. That way I don't have to take the saw out of the sawmill guide. I can just go back and forth. But if you don't have that, you know, it's not that big a deal. Because I switched my own saw. I switched saws for a long time before I had 2.
Do you recommend doing all the chainsaw milling first and then all the edging at one time, or back and forth, or what?
Well, you know, the stuff is really heavy, so you could slab, but you've got to take this off. So you got to take this off, and you got to handle it and move it. And I work by myself, so it's not an option. So I need to get the timbers out of them. So I just go through the whole process. So how this works is this V track just runs in this channel right here, and we'll set this on our chalk line, and then we'll clamp our saw in there, and this is just going to run right along there just like it would on a railroad track. And we're going to just run, and we're just going to put a nice clean edge right on that. And this V track will come with the mini mill, so it's kind of a package deal. If you're cutting really long stuff, you can get an extra set of them, and you can put this on an 18-20 foot 2x6, whatever. Just pick something out at a lumberyard that's really straight and doesn't have any bends in it, because this is going to determine how straight your edging cut is. So I'll get this pretty close to set up. Make sure that our slab here is hanging over, because we don't want to be cutting twice. We don't be cutting any more than we have to. And once I get this,
if you're lining that board up every time, you don't really need the chalk line in, right?
You don't really need the chalk line. It's actually, the chalk line comes into effect on the next cut.
Oh, okay.
So much here. I'm just a creature of habit. So I'll just put 2 or 3 screws in here just to hold it in place.
Do you have to use the picker in at the end again or not?
For this?
Yeah.
No, we're going to do something a little different with this. We'll use a dog for this. So you saw, just like the other one, we'll clamp right in here, and we can just set the depth to make sure that we are cutting all the way through our material. You can actually do everything that I've just shown you with this tool alone. Some of the guys who build remotely in Alaska and they pack in or fly in, they'll take this and a long piece of 2x6 in the track, and they can do everything. It just takes a little bit longer, but it'll work. So again, just double check, make sure we're not cutting through the lower section, and that's it. Once we got it torqued down, we're ready to cut. Thanks, Mom. Alright, one thing you want to do on this is you want to dog the ends so you don't get tear out. What happens is, as we cut up here a little ways, there's going to be all this weight that's going to be hanging off of that cut. And if you don't secure this end, that will tear out and it'll destroy your timber. So I just make these out of a piece of flat bar or whatever you have, put some points on it, and you put that in there and just drive it in. And what that'll do is that holds that now. So that'll keep that from falling down and tearing out on the other end. I moved the other side because you can tell I've dropped those on my feet a few times. There's so much of the tree that you can use. I mean, every bit you can use. We scoop up the sawdust and I use it for soaking up grease in my shop. Jessica uses it for her compost. There's just all types of reasons. You've got all the edges and the corner material that you can use for firewood. Just there isn't any waste to it. Every piece is just usable. Everything you.
My mom takes the sawdust and uses it around her plant.
Pine is so light, I'm not used to cutting pine. You could expect that edging attachment right there, if you had it hooked to the big saw, would cut 3 times faster. And the main slabbing on the big Alaska mill, if you went with like a 66 saw, the next size up, you could probably do it 1/3 faster, and if you went with an 88, you could be twice as fast. So, as again, that saw is a little bit light. But we use what we have. Remember where I put that one? Oh, there it is. Alright, we've got 3 sides cut, so there's only 1 side left to cut. So what I'll do is I usually just I want to scrape off all the sawdust because we need a chalk line, and this is one that's really going to matter.
If you have a flat side, why don't you just flip it?
You could flip it. Yeah, I guess the stuff that I usually do is too heavy to flip. So I try to devise a way. I've even used a high lift jack to lift it up and get cribbing underneath of it. But this here is light enough that we could flip it. You got that Brandon there?
You moving it towards the center?
Yeah.
Are you doing it off to this edge?
Either one. We can hang it off this edge, it's just fine.
Just let me know where you want to
It should be.
go. 6 inches off.
Yeah, it might be a little bit tippy. Why don't we get a couple, you got a couple chunks, so like 4 inches thick that we could sit it up on? I'm afraid it might fall off.
No, I was trying to do it.
Right.
Chunks of these?
Yeah, those are good. Just put, I'll hold it up and just put 2 per side there, and I'll just set that. I'll set the depth. That's good. One will be enough.